Spring is that time when a young man's fancy lightly turns to thoughts of love, but it's also the time when Mr. McMahon's fancy turns to thoughts of who we can trim from the WWE payroll now that WrestleMania has passed. He did it after WrestleMania 36 and 37, so are firings on the horizon soon? Well, join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 superstars likely to get fired in 2022. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Number 1. Liv Morgan. Rhea Ripley's heel turn on Liv Morgan looks like it'll be the final step in Morgan's exit from the WWE. At 27, Morgan isn't washed up, but she's shown a substantial lack of improvement during her 8 years in the WWE, which can't be doing her any favours in terms of how management perceives her. She's had on and off pushes in the past, as with her program with Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship showed the fans are willing to get behind her, but that doesn't mean that the WWE is willing to get behind her. Rhea Ripley's recent heel turn on Morgan and the fans' thunderous response shows that nobody likes a perennial loser. Number 2. Nikki Ash. Speaking of perennial losers, the WWE Universe is still scratching its head over Nikki Ash's remarkable rise to the top and equally remarkable fall. Nikki has always been a breath of fresh air in the WWE as she's more than a looker with some great moves. Cross's non-traditional persona resonated with fans, especially during her unlikely tag team with Alexa Bliss. While the Bliss-Cross alliance ended far too soon, the WWE gave Nikki a surprisingly satisfactory makeover as Nikki Ash, aka almost a superhero. The odd blend of the Hurricane and Mighty Molly should have failed, but Nikki made it work and the WWE's decision to push her was well received, as was her 2021 Money in the Bank ladder match win and successful cash-in the next night. Regrettably, the WWE then booked her as a flute champion, with Ash portrayed as a failure and further buried her when she snapped, turning on tag partner Rhea Ripley. At this point, it's kinda difficult to think of any reason to keep her around unless the WWE has more weddings where it needs obscure wrestlers to fill the ring or another 24/7 championship segment. Number 3. Dana Brooke. Speaking of wrestling weddings, Dana Brooke's recent wedding, commitment ceremony to Reggie was a reminder that Brooke can work any role in the WWE, yet failed to get over. Her association with the 24/7 championship, rarely a good omen for any wrestler's future unless they happen to be R-Truth, is ironic because it's the most exposure she's had in the WWE of late. Well, other than the entire malfunction at WrestleMania 37. Brooke's work ethic can't be denied, but it's obvious the bodybuilder turned wrestler is working on borrowed time. The WWE has never seen fit to get behind her as more than a supporting player. With injured stars Asuka and Bayley returning soon, look for the WWE to dump her in the river and Brooke to wash up in probably AEW. But that's if they really want her. Number 4. The Viking Raiders. But whether you feel the Viking Raiders are a victim of the injury bug, bad booking, or both, this formidable team has been on the WWE back burner so long that it's remarkable that they actually weren't released last year. The WWE has certainly worked hard to bury them, as seen by their so-called romantic feud with the Street Profits, a program that was likely designed to showcase Eric and Ivar's funny side, but which ultimately made them look like goofs, as nothing further came about.
We won! Look at the scoreboard!
At one point, the Viking Raiders were a powerhouse tag team, and that ship sailed a long time ago. Number 5. Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali's luck must be all bad because it's difficult to recall a superstar with so much talent who has only seen one opportunity after another go sideways. Whether it was the 2019 injury that sidelined him from that year's Elimination Chamber, an absence that was actually filled by Kofi Kingston that led to the monumental Kofi Mania push, the WWE dropping the promising SmackDown Hacker storyline, or the equally promising Retribution storyline fizzling out, Ali really can't catch a break. Unfortunately, unless it's a limb. Ali has wanted to leave the WWE for some time as he handed his request for release, but Vince McMahon denied it, toying with him for months just because he can. Also, there's rumored to be heat between the two, as Ali didn't want to go ahead with a certain storyline.
I know exactly that the generation before me paved the way, but when the hell are you gonna let me walk on that path?
2022 looks to be the year that Mr. McMahon looks for a new toy to play with. Number 6. Humberto Carrillo. Humberto showed plenty of promise as a babyface on Raw, combining good looks, youth, and the fast-paced style that keeps viewers glued to their seats. While it would be wrong to say that he floundered on Raw, as he was a regular visitor to the Red Brand, even if it was in the cheap seats, the WWE didn't push him as more than enhancement talent. His subsequent heel turn and alliance with former rival Angel Garza as Los Lotharios seemed like a good step for both superstars, as the real-life cousins have good chemistry and added some freshness to the SmackDown's tag team scene. Like many WWE teams, Los Lotharios were put together because the WWE didn't know what to do with either superstar as singles performers. Regrettably for both talents, the WWE's decision to split them up is bad news, as creative realizes they don't know how to book them as a tag team either, or the whole division in fact. Number 7. Drew Gulak. Drew Gulak is a wrestler who falls into the category of someone you always forget is actually still working in the WWE. His recent appearance on SmackDown as an interviewer was one such moment, as fans everywhere had to be saying, "Wait, isn't that Drew Gulak?" Gulak's humiliating beatdown at the hands of Charlotte Flair has some Drew diehards thinking it could be an angle to bring him back, but most fans think it's the obligatory humiliation Vince McMahon puts someone through before wishing them well on their future endeavors. Number 8. Xia Li. Xia Li is another NXT star who started strong only for creative to seemingly forget about her. It wouldn't be the first time a new star has idled in catering, actually Toni Storm comes to mind, and while there's no reason to think that Li has done anything to justify a release, she seems like the type of wrestler who equally lacks any reason for keeping around. Let's be fair, the last time we saw her on television was back in February, and that was only for one match. In fact, we can count the number of matches she's actually had in 2022 just on one hand. Number 9. Apollo Crews. A former US and Intercontinental Champion, Apollo Crews is a clutch player who can work with any type of opponent, play a babyface or heel, and who seemed to be on his way to a solid run on SmackDown as the Nigerian Prince, a heel who embraced his ancestry. On paper, Crews' move to 3-hour Raw should have created more opportunities to carve out a niche, but he hasn't been able to catch a break. Crews has lots to offer even as a mid-carder, but his banishment to the WWE's Phantom Zone, aka Main Event, suggests he's on his way out. And number 10. Commander AZEEZ. A big man Commander AZEEZ is a wrestler who is ideal for a role as a bodyguard and occasionally a wrestler. The fact that AZEEZ survived a run on Raw Underground would normally be a great sign, but AZEEZ ran afoul of Omos at the time when WWE was looking to have everyone and anyone put the big man over. That's understandable, as Omos' 7'3" size makes him look like a sure bet, but that doesn't mean AZEEZ needs to be dismissed as a plus-size jobber to the stars. While stranger things have happened, an Apollo exit all but guarantees AZEEZ will probably join him. Now, the good news for many of these superstars is that Tony Khan seems more willing than ever to break open a checkbook, especially if he oversaturates Ring of Honor's roster, as many have argued that he's done with AEW. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments down below. I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.